This week was my birthday. This last Tuesday, I turned 53 years old. Pretty weird to think about. I'm not a big birthday person. I'm not one of those people who needs to have a party or calls it my birthday week or anything like that. Yeah, the milestones, like the decades, when I turned 50, I had, a get-together, things like that. I feel that's appropriate. But this year was pretty low-key. I went out, I had lunch with my mom, which was really nice. Got together with some friends, and we had a couple of drinks and some food, and that was great. And that was that. Getting older is one of those things that is so hard to summarize because there's so many nuanced things. There's how you feel, and there's your physical body, and there's your relationship with the world. A couple of observations I can definitely make are physically things you do when you're younger, injuries I've had, they definitely come back to haunt you. So you don't have to go and work out every single day, but staying active is super important. Some of my friends who are similar age to myself are starting to do when we were younger, this was better. And while there are some things that were better, a lot of things are better now. And some subjective things like movies or music, they're just as good now as they've ever been. And that's what I'm talking about with how you relate to the world. It's so weird to have this catalog of experiences and memories that you are comparing to everything else that's coming out now. The other thing I've noticed with people who are older than myself is they fall into one of two camps. So life is hard and you get beat up quite a lot, and either you learn from it or you become calloused by it. And it's not like it's 100% this or that. There are lots of different nuanced aspects of life. As far as your job or money or friends or relationships, all those sorts of things. Either as you go through life, you learn from things and grow from that, or you don't learn from it and you just become calloused. And I'd like to think I'm mostly in the first category, but there are some things that I've just lost interest in. And that's the other thing, is once you have a few decades of life under your belt, you start to see kind of chapters of your life. And it's pretty interesting. Every 10, 15 years, you kind of end up reinventing yourself. Your hobbies and your interests and your focus really changes dramatically. So who I am now is not at all who I was in my late 30s or who I was in my 20s. And it's really weird to think that, potentially I could have a few more decades ahead of me. And it feels very much like this is who I am. And looking back, it's very easy to see how you grew and changed over time, but you can't imagine growing or changing that much more looking forward. Life is a weird and funny thing. I've kept myself busy this week. I actually did play and record some guitar. Nothing new or groundbreaking, just those old songs that I've been kind of revisiting or massaging or whatever. Just started playing guitar along with them, and that felt good. The other thing I did is I did another set of paintings, very much inspired by my trip to the art museum. So what I did is I started with just washes of color, and over several days I just kept adding to it and manipulating it and that sort of thing. And then after a couple of days, I just looked at them and kind of almost like flashcards or like a Rorschach test. I was like, that is that, that is that, that is that, and then started creating from there. It's like this one, I sort of saw a tree in it. And this one I sort of saw like the ocean at night. This one I saw a wave crashing. And this one I'm not sure what I saw, and I still am not sure. This one's definitely not done yet. The paper that I cut these out of is just big enough that I can get 4 of them. And so that's why I've been doing these little batches of 4 paintings, and I'll probably start another 4 this next week. Tarot cards have been the tough nut to crack. Every day I pull a card and I sort of look at it and think about it, meditate on it, that sort of thing. Once a week I do a larger spread and sort of read that for myself. But the intuitive thing, that's the part that I have trouble connecting to. I tend to be just so analytical and so logical with everything, I guess. And I think I'd mentioned in a previous video, I'm not especially spiritual. While I do think there are mystical or magical things in the world, they eventually have to be explainable. You know, if you look at things from 100 years ago or 1,000 years ago, we didn't understand things, and so we prescribed or put these labels on them. You know, I've said before, like, the lightning in the sky must be the gods fighting or something like that. What else could it be? But then once we learn some science and some of the mechanics behind it, it's absolutely explainable. Now, is it any less magical? For me, no. I think it's still amazing and crazy to look at. And there's lots of things out there that are still pretty mystical, but ultimately have to have an explanation. And with tarot cards, it's hard for me to trust that. I don't know why. I'll keep at it. I haven't had a lot of opportunities to practice with other people, and I think that sort of conversation and that sort of exercise would be really good. So we'll see how that goes. I've been talking to a lot of people about these videos, and a lot of friends have said that they've thought about doing a YouTube channel themselves. And I think you absolutely should. There is room for everybody with YouTube. You might not have 1 million subscribers, but if you have a thing that you are pretty passionate about, there are definitely people out there who share that passion. And finding that little community and those people, that's what counts. You know, my other channel, the Minecraft channel, I have a couple thousand subscribers. It is a monetized channel, and I do make a couple $100 a year, but it's mostly the people and the interaction that drives me. And the thing I think that people get wrong with YouTube is the obstacle to entry. So obviously there's the thing you do or the thing you're passionate about, and you're probably pretty good at that. The other thing is the equipment. Cameras and microphones are easy to come by. Everybody probably has one in their phone. Now, obviously there are upgrades. You can see I've got a little microphone here, and I have a thing that will keep track of me no matter where I go, stuff like that. You can always add that later. When I started my first YouTube channel, I had just a simple microphone and a really simple webcam. And it was good enough. The obstacle for entry that most people don't realize is there is how organized and how much of a planner you are. Ideally, you would do this on a schedule. You know, I do a video every week. You might do a video every couple of weeks or every month. But having some sort of regiment that you stick to is super important. Not only for the algorithm so that YouTube understands that you are actively creating, but for yourself so that you can make something regularly rather than it being an afterthought. The next thing is editing the video. I had fortunately done some video projects in the past, short films or film races, things like that, so I had some experience editing video. I was by no means good at it, but I understood that these are the clips, and this is the timeline, and this is the preview of what I'm looking at. And the first couple videos were clunky or weirdly paced, you know, things like that. But once you start doing it, you get better at it, and you start to get a rhythm and a style. If you watch my Minecraft videos, you'll notice when I transition scenes, I always use the same transition. When I do a time lapse and show a build very, very quickly, I always use blurs between those clips. When I change from one location to another, I always use a wipe. So there's 3 different transitions I always use, and I always use them in the same way. So stylistically, I eventually figured that out. The other thing is I have a title at the beginning. I have a little thing that says, please subscribe. I have an end card. Once I had those created, then I can just drag them in every single video and they're ready to go. So now when I make a video, the editing part is pretty smooth. But understanding that there's going to be a little bit of a learning curve there, giving yourself that grace and the time to kind of learn that skill, that's, I think, the part that turns most people off, along with the regularly posting and being regimented about that. So I live in a very, very small place. It's a studio, and it's probably just over 500 square feet. I'm way up high, so I have a really nice view, and I've got light coming in from the windows, but like my TV is right there, my bed is right over there, my front door is over there, my kitchen's there, my office is back here, and that's the whole place. When I paint, I usually paint right here in front of me. Sometimes I'll get a cutting board just so I don't get paint all over the table, and I will just sort of work here with the natural light from the window. or the lights over my shoulders here, and that's where I make my art. When I edit video, I do that at my desk. Just have a little standing desk. I've got my mechanical keyboard, I've got my ergonomic mouse, I've got 2 monitors, and that's where the magic happens. As far as the music making, I've been trying something a little different. Rather than sitting at the desk, I've been trying to use a laptop so I can be a little bit more mobile. I have an audio interface that just plugs in with a USB-C connection, and so that makes it really, really simple. And so I'll sit on the couch. I do have a keyboard back here, but I haven't been using it much. I made a video about how I write songs. I'll leave a link up in the corner. And a lot of times when I have piano parts or synth parts, I will just write the notes out. I'll just draw them, compose them, and let the computer play them. So my performance capability on the piano is lacking lately. I should probably do something about that. But these last couple weeks have felt pretty good. Again, the routine that I've established. If I get up in the morning at the regular time, make myself some breakfast, get going with my day, it feels like I accomplished something that day. If there's a day I sleep in, or I've got to go to work, or I've got a bunch of appointments, those days feel wasted to me for some reason. So I'm still figuring that out. So that's pretty much it for this week. I will leave links down below so you can check out my art, check out my music, things like that. And yeah, let me know if there's things you want to know about. If there's topics that are interesting to you. I've got a short list of things that I could talk about. I've been using AI a little bit for some things. I am very conflicted with where AI fits into the world, so I'd love to talk about that. There's some cool new things going on with music and movies and stuff like that. I'd love to talk about that. Another thing I'd love to do is make another short film or do another short film race. Love to talk about that. But yeah, let me know what you're interested in. Let me know what you've got questions about. Please subscribe, and I will see you next time.